ladies, I came to speak to the part of you that's tired of feeling overlooked, underappreciated, used up and left empty. There comes a time in a woman's life where she must draw a line in the sand, not to keep others out, but to protect the royalty within her. And here's the harsh truth, the truth you may not want to hear but desperately need to. You've been too available with your time, too available with your heart, too available with your kindness, your energy, your loyalty. Your body, you've been running on empty, trying to pour into people who only take, never pour back. You're answering every call, showing up for every drama, replying to every text, fixing things you didn't break, healing people who don't want to heal, and all the while you're bleeding in silence. Let me tell you something. Scarcity increases value. Diamonds are rare, gold is mined, oil is hidden deep beneath the earth. But you're giving yourself away like you're on clearance, like your soul is up for discount, like your worth is negotiable. You were never created to be common. You were never designed to be picked over like fruit at the bottom of a bin. You were crafted, ordained, set apart, and until you stop being so accessible to the wrong people, the right ones will never see you. You're busy trying to keep love that isn't rooted in respect. You're stretching yourself just to make someone else comfortable. You're lowering your standards because you're afraid to be alone. Being too available makes people entitled to your presence. They forget that your availability is a gift, not a guarantee. Every yes you say to them is a no to your peace, your growth, your healing. And baby girl, you can't afford to bleed out trying to save someone who wouldn't even hand you a bandage, not because she's bitter, not because she's proud, but because she's finally realized she's worth protecting. It's time to reclaim your power, reclaim your worth, and understand that not everyone deserves access to you. Access to you is a privilege, not a right. You're not hard to love. You're just easy to misuse when you don't enforce boundaries. And the truth is, you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. So today, I'm challenging you, be less available, be intentional with your time, be protective with your peace, be selective with your presence. Because you are not a public utility, you are a temple, a force, a masterpiece, and it's time you started acting like it. There is a silent trap that many women fall into often without even realizing it. It starts with good intentions. It starts with kindness, with love, with the desire to be there for people, to nurture, to show up, to give endlessly. But over time, what was once a strength becomes a weakness. The very thing that made you lovable becomes the reason people no longer value you. Being too available, too easy to reach, too quick to give, too present without being asked, can slowly, steadily, and subtly erode how others perceive your worth. In a world that chases after what's rare, what's mysterious, what requires effort and pursuit, being constantly accessible can dull your shine. Think about this. Why are diamonds so valued? Why do people covet gold, luxury cars, front row seats, VIP access? It's because those things are limited. You can't just walk into any room and find a diamond on the floor. You can't just snap your fingers and own something valuable. And yet, so many women make the mistake of treating themselves like everyday items. Always there, always available, always reachable. It's not just in romantic relationships. It happens with friends, with coworkers, with family. When you're always the one saying yes, always the one rearranging your schedule, always the one stepping in to solve the problem, people stop appreciating your presence. They start to expect it. Your generosity becomes a baseline, not a blessing. Your loyalty becomes assumed, not admired, and that's the danger. When you offer yourself without boundaries, you become too easy to reach, and what's easy to reach is often dismissed. People don't chase what they already have. They don't fight for what's already theirs by default. They don't treasure what costs them nothing. And when you become too available, you stop being seen as someone to pursue, and instead become someone to use. When you're always there, always texting first, always checking in, always showing up, what you're communicating, even if unconsciously, is that your time isn't valuable. You're signaling that you have nothing more important going on. You're saying, I'm available because I don't have boundaries. And people listen to that, they pick up on it. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. And eventually, they stop treating you like a priority. Because you never required to be treated like one. There is a fine line between being kind and being a convenience. Many women cross that line because they want to be loved. They think availability equals love. But let me tell you something hard and true. Love that requires you to lose yourself is not love. It's a transaction. And most of the time it's one-sided. People value what they work for. They value what challenges them, what intrigues them, what gives them just enough but not too much. Think about the power of mystery. Think about how rare things spark desire. That's not manipulation. It's nature. It's human behavior. And if you give people everything up front, they have nothing left to discover. You become familiar, and familiarity often breeds complacency. When you're always available, people stop being curious about you. They stop wondering what you're thinking. They stop asking how you're doing. They stop trying to earn your time because they assume they already have it. And you slowly fade into the background, not because you have less to offer, but because you gave too much too soon, and it made people forget how valuable your presence really is. This applies to men you date, friends you trust, even employers you work for. When you answer every call at midnight, when you say yes to every favor, when you're always the one fixing the broken pieces, it can become your identity, and people stop seeing you as a person. They see you as a resource. And when you finally need something, when you finally get tired, when you finally say no, they act shocked, they call you selfish, they call you changed, but you didn't change. You just stopped giving yourself away for free. It's not selfish to preserve your energy. It's not prideful to protect your peace. It's not wrong to make people wait for your time, your response, your presence. That doesn't make you arrogant. That makes you wise. Because true queens don't sit in the courtyard giving away favors. They sit on the throne, and access is granted only to those who have earned it. Being unavailable doesn't mean you become cold, close, doff, or rude. It means you become intentional. You choose who gets your time. You choose who earns your emotional investment. You choose when and how you show up, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Every yes you say to others is a no to something else. So when you keep saying yes out of fear of rejection, you are saying no to your own growth, to your own healing, to your own rest. And the more you do that, the more invisible you become. Not because others can't see you, but because they don't need to see you. You're just there, always there, and being always there is the fastest way to become invisible in someone's life. Let people miss you. Let them wonder what you're up to. Let them reach out first. Let them work for your presence. You are not a background character in your own life. You are the main event. You are the light, not the lamp post. You are the treasure, not the open road. Your time is valuable. Your energy is priceless. Your presence is powerful. Stop giving it away to people who haven't earned it, because the harsh truth is, the more available you are, the less they see you. Let's talk about boundaries, those invisible lines we draw to protect our peace, our energy, and our well-being. For far too long, the word boundary has been misunderstood. It's been misinterpreted as something aggressive, cold, or even selfish. People say, she's too hard now, or she's changed. But let me tell you the truth. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are gates that protect you. Boundaries don't keep people out. They keep you whole. You see, when a woman begins to set boundaries, it often shakes the very foundation of the relationships she's in. Why? Because for years, she's been the one who always says yes, always stays late, always forgives without accountability, always answers the phone, always carries the emotional weight, always gives until there's barely anything left of her. And when she finally says no more, it's not her being cruel, it's her finally being clear. Boundaries are not about control, they're not about punishment, they're not about shutting people out of your life. They're about honoring yourself enough to say, this is how I deserve to be treated. It's about knowing your value so deeply that you won't let anyone, not even someone you love, violate your peace, disturb your balance, or manipulate your time. But for many women, especially those who have been conditioned to serve, please, accommodate, and endure, setting boundaries feels like betrayal. It feels like guilt, like fear, like abandonment. Why? Because we've been taught to prioritize everyone else before ourselves. We've been praised for being selfless, for being the strong one, the helper, the fixer, and somewhere along the line, we believed that loving people meant losing ourselves. There's nothing holy about being burned out. There's nothing noble about being emotionally exhausted. There's nothing divine about giving so much of yourself that you forget who you are. A woman who's depleted is not more spiritual. She's just more broken. So yes, set the boundary. Say no to that invitation. Stop answering that text. Let the phone ring. Decline that favor. Don't explain yourself. You don't owe anyone access to you just because you once gave it freely. You have every right to evolve, to heal, to outgrow what no longer honors you. Some people will be offended when you set boundaries. Let them be. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Their discomfort is not your burden. You're not setting the boundary to punish them. You're setting it to protect yourself, to protect the version of you that's finally learning how to breathe again, to protect your rest, your joy, your healing. You have to understand boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. They are not meant to separate you from people. They are meant to preserve the relationship so that it can be healthy, respectful, and mutual. Because any relationship that can't survive a boundary is not a relationship. It's a hostage situation. If someone only loves you when you're silent, available, and agreeable, that's not love, that's control. If they leave when you speak your truth, that's not abandonment, that's revelation. That's you finally seeing what was never really secure to begin with. So many women have suffered in silence because they didn't want to lose someone. But hear me, if your silence is the price of their comfort, the cost is too high. If you have to dim your light to keep someone warm, you will live your life in darkness. Boundaries are not about cutting people off. They are about cutting yourself loose from the weight of unhealthy expectations, from the guilt that says, if I don't do this, they'll be mad, from the fear that says, if I say no, they'll leave, from the shame that whispers, I don't deserve to protect myself. Yes, you do. You do deserve to protect yourself. You do deserve to take up space. You do deserve to speak up when something doesn't sit right in your spirit, and the people who truly care about you, the people who love your soul and not just what you can do for them, they will honor your boundaries. They will welcome your no. They will appreciate your honesty because they know that your boundary is not a rejection. It's a form of intimacy. It's you saying, I value this enough to keep it healthy. You need to say, I will not speak negatively about my body. I will not overwork myself for validation. I will not lower my standards just to feel chosen. I will not betray my inner peace for the sake of approval. You have to protect yourself, from the habits you formed when you didn't know better, from the choices you made in survival mode, from the lies you believed when you were desperate for love. So don't apologize for setting boundaries. Apologize for all the times you didn't, for all the times you said yes when your heart was screaming no, for all the times you let your silence speak when your soul needed to roar, for all the times you let people walk across your spirit because you were afraid to speak up. This is the season where you honor your intuition, where you prioritize your peace, where you choose you not because you don't love them, but because you finally love yourself. There comes a point in every woman's life when she must look in the mirror and make a decision that will change everything, not just how others treat her, but how she treats herself. A decision that silences the noise, breaks the cycles, and reclaims her dignity. That decision is this: my worth is not up for negotiation, because too many women have been bargaining with their value, offering discounts on their soul, lowering their standards just to feel seen, dimming their light to fit into spaces never meant to hold them. And all of it comes from one dangerous misconception, that their worth is something they have to earn, prove, or defend. Before you ever achieved anything, before you were praised or validated, before you were beautiful or broken, you were already enough. Worth is not a reward, it is your birthright. It is not determined by your past, your paycheck, your relationship status, your body size, or how many people choose you. But the world doesn't always tell you that. The world teaches women to tie their worth to performance, to perfection, to being pleasing. It tells you that if you're not needed, then you're not valuable, that if you're not chosen, then you're not worthy, that if you're not sacrificing everything for someone else, you're selfish. And so, you learn to negotiate. You compromise your standards because you don't want to be too much. You tolerate disrespect in the name of love. You shrink in rooms where you should stand tall. You silence your voice because you were told that having needs makes you difficult. You cannot afford to keep living like your worth is up for auction. You cannot keep allowing people to place bids on your time, your body, your attention, based on what they think you're worth. Because people will always undervalue what you do not value yourself, and masterpieces don't apologize for existing. They don't lower their price because someone can't afford them. They don't sit in dusty corners waiting to be picked. They are displayed with confidence because their value is not up for debate. So if you keep accepting the bare minimum, people will stop offering more. If you keep forgiving the same disrespect, they'll stop trying to change. If you keep settling for crumbs, they'll believe you're not hungry for more. If you let them play with your time, they'll assume you have nothing better to do. You have to stop explaining your standards to people who benefit when you have none. Stop begging for love, for effort, for loyalty. Stop proving that you're good enough to stay. Stop shrinking just to make insecure people comfortable. Stop settling because you're afraid that no one else will want you. Because what's for you will never require you to shrink. What's for you will not come through manipulation, desperation, or constant negotiation. What's for you will rise to meet the level of your self-worth. And when you start walking like you know who you are, something powerful happens. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop begging for love that doesn't see you. You stop over-explaining your value. You stop allowing people to rent space in your life without paying the cost of respect. You attract peace. You attract honor. You attract mutuality. You attract relationships that nourish, not drain. You attract purpose, not performance. You attract people who don't just tolerate your boundaries. They respect them. It means you no longer compromise who you are to keep someone else comfortable. It means you stop abandoning yourself for temporary company. It means you understand that someone else's inability to recognize your worth is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their vision. No more begging, no more proving, no more settling, no more pretending. From this moment forward, choose yourself with the same passion you've used to choose everyone else. Speak over yourself with love. Show up for yourself like you would for your best friend. Stop asking permission to be whole, and start living like your worth is unshakable. Because it is. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're not here to fit into small boxes. You're not here to be tolerated. You are here to shine, to rise, to lead, to love, and most importantly, to be loved rightly, beginning with yourself. There's a truth that's not easy to swallow. A truth that stings the ego but saves the soul. It's the kind of truth that calls you out before it lifts you up. And it's this: you teach people how to treat you. Every time you excuse disrespect, you teach someone that your boundaries are flexible. Every time you stay silent in the face of mistreatment, you communicate that your voice is optional. Every time you give second, third, and fourth chances without changed behavior, you send the message that your standards are negotiable. And here's the thing. People learn from your silence just as much as they do from your speech. When you allow someone to repeatedly disrespect you, ignore your needs, belittle your feelings, or drain your energy, and still grant them access to your life, you are co-signing their behavior even if you don't intend to. You're writing the unspoken rule that says this is okay. What you tolerate becomes the template, what you overlook becomes the expectation, and what you settle for becomes the level at which people engage with you. If you don't correct it, you are accepting it. If you don't stop it, you're sustaining it. And this doesn't just happen in romantic relationships. It happens at work, in friendships, with family, even with strangers. The moment you allow someone to cross a line and you say nothing, that line disappears. And soon you're wondering how you got here, tired, frustrated, resentful. Because deep down you knew it didn't feel right, but you didn't speak up. You ignored the red flags because you didn't want to seem difficult. You stayed quiet because you were afraid of conflict. You didn't say no because you were scared of being left, and slowly you taught people that your feelings come second. That your time doesn't need to be honored, that your presence doesn't need to be earned. When you have no boundaries, people will use you as a convenience. When you don't speak up, they will assume you have nothing to say. When you don't value your own time, they will waste it. When you don't demand respect, they will give you whatever version of themselves is easiest, but that can change. And it starts with one powerful shift. You must start showing people how to treat you by treating yourself with the very respect you crave from others. If you want people to respect your time, respect it first. Stop overcommitting. Stop saying yes when you mean no. Start prioritizing your rest and your schedule. If you want people to value your voice, use it. Speak up. Don't shrink to keep the peace. Don't let others talk over you or dismiss your thoughts. Your voice matters, and it carries weight. If you want to be loved deeply, love yourself deeply first. Treat yourself with tenderness. Set standards that reflect your value. Don't give access to people who only bring chaos. The truth is, people don't respond to what you believe about them. They respond to what you believe about yourself. If you carry yourself like you're worthy, they'll notice. If you walk like you deserve more, they'll either rise to meet you or fall away. But either way, your alignment will attract what's meant and remove what isn't. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to lose people who only stayed because your boundaries were low. Don't be afraid to walk away from tables where respect isn't served. Because sometimes the only way to teach someone how to treat you is to leave when they don't. And don't confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. You can be loving without being a doormat. You can be compassionate without being taken advantage of. Boundaries are not rude. They're responsible. Standards are not arrogance. They are evidence that you know your value. Let's be real. People treat you based on how they see you treating yourself. So if you let yourself be walked over, they'll do the same. But when you move like you're not afraid to lose anyone who doesn't honor you, everything changes. You start attracting friends who uplift you instead of drain you. You start attracting love that gives instead of takes. You start walking into rooms without shrinking. You start speaking without apologizing. You start living without permission. It's not about revenge. It's about remembrance, remembering who you are and acting like it. Refusing to forget it just because someone else can't see it. Your value is not determined by how much you can endure. Your strength is not proven by how much disrespect you can tolerate. Your goodness is not measured by your willingness to be used. You gain power by honoring your truth. You gain peace by walking away from chaos. You gain respect by demanding it, not with force, but with unwavering self-respect. So the next time someone crosses a line, pause and ask yourself, what am I teaching them right now? And if you don't like the lesson, change the response, change the access, change the tone, change the standard. Because the moment you realize that you teach people how to treat you is the moment you start rewriting the story and commanding the respect that's been waiting on the other side of your courage. There's a dangerous lie many women have been taught to believe, that their availability defines their value, that being constantly present, always reachable, always responsive, always saying yes, makes them lovable, worthy, appreciated. That if they're not immediately accessible, someone might forget them, overlook them, or worse, replace them. But let me tell you something that may feel hard to hear but will set your soul free once it sinks in. Being always available does not make you valuable. Being intentional with your availability does. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to reply to every text. You don't have to be on stand. Buy for anyone's emotional emergencies. You don't have to say yes just because someone asked. And you do not owe the world unlimited access to you just because you care. And the more freely you give them away, the more you teach others to devalue them. Not because people are evil or malicious, but because what is easy to access is easy to take for granted. So many women are exhausted not because they're weak, but because they've made themselves too available, for too long, to too many people, for too little return. They answer every message. They show up for every problem. They solve issues that weren't theirs to begin with, and while they're busy showing up for everyone else, no one shows up for them. Why? Because when your availability is automatic, your presence is no longer special. It becomes expected, it becomes assumed, it becomes background noise, and nothing hurts more than realizing people only notice your worth once you stop giving so much of yourself. It's not about withholding. It's about protecting. It's not about being selfish. It's about being wise. It's not about playing games. It's about practicing self-respect. You are not cold for being selective. You are not arrogant for prioritizing your peace. You are not distant for choosing solitude over chaos. You are not rude for saying, "Not right now." People who genuinely love and respect you will not be offended by your boundaries. They will not demand your availability at the expense of your well-being. They will not confuse presence with proximity, because real relationships don't require constant contact. They require mutual respect. The people who guilt you for not being constantly available are often the ones who only value you when they need you. They don't check on you unless they want something. They don't pour into you, but expect you to fill their cup. And when you finally step back to preserve yourself, they accuse you of changing. Yes, you changed. You grew, you healed, you realized you deserve better. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be giving and still say no. You can be loving and still protect your time. Being too available trains people to believe that you have no priorities of your own. It tells them that your schedule revolves around theirs, that your needs come second, that your life is open for their intrusion. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself constantly responding to life instead of leading it. You'll spend your days reacting to texts, solving other people's problems, fixing broken situations that aren't your responsibility, while your own dreams, goals, and healing get buried under the weight of everyone else's needs. You can't keep pouring from an empty cup and calling it generosity. You can't keep giving your energy away and calling it loyalty. You can't keep being the emergency contact in everyone else's life while no one even checks if you're okay. It's not heroic to burn out. It's not impressive to be exhausted. It's not noble to be constantly tired and emotionally depleted. That's not love. That's dysfunction disguised as devotion. It should be reserved for people who value it. For people who notice when you're quiet. For people who ask how you're doing without needing anything. For people who reciprocate. For people who respect when you say, "I need space." Being intentional with your availability doesn't make you selfish.